Hey, and welcome back, y'all. This is episode number 9, or should I say conversation number 9. And I'm super excited to bring this topic today. Today, I'm really sharing from my heart. I'm sharing from a situation that I was in today that I really felt impressed to talk about it and to really express how I feel about it simply because, well, you'll get the gist here in a moment. All right. So we're going to get started. If you're, you know what, let me just break it down. When you're in a situation that you don't have feedback from a person that disagrees with what you're saying, what do you do with that? How do you maneuver through that? And that's what we're going to unpack today. All right, stay tuned. Here we go. Welcome to Built for Confidence, the podcast where kingdom builders rebuild identity, sharpen clarity, and lead with conviction. I am your host, Coach Paul Ibarra, and every week we're cutting through the noise to help you stop second guessing, start deciding, and build with confidence right where God has placed you. So listen, drop a review, drop a comment, hit that like, subscribe, all the things, and let's get started. All righty, y'all. Welcome back. Listen, we're going to tap right into this conversation. Okay. So when you're in a situation, you're in a conversation, you're in a dialogue, you post something on Facebook, you put something out on Instagram, and it may be something that is causing people to answer or reply. So this morning I sent out my text blast, all right, with my motivational quotes and all the things that I do daily. If you want to be a part of that, type the word text me at 719-509-1005, and I'll get you a part of that list. And so in this conversation, again, I'm not going to put anybody's names out there or anything. There was a few replies that came back that were, I'm not going to say coming against what I said, but they didn't agree with what I said. Cool, not a problem. I have no problem with people disagreeing with what I say, because if I have a problem receiving a disagreement, then I am a foolish man, right? The truth is this: I am so open-minded that I want to hear someone else's perspective. So half the time that I send these texts out, I want a reply back to see what the person is saying. I don't want to bring motivation to people that are just sheep, right? However, let me just break this down. However, if you're going to debate, at least have some skin in the game that is going to give me the opportunity, or the other person the opportunity, to understand where you are coming from. Does that make sense? The scenarios that you live in life, and this is where I want you to really focus on your confidence, because that's what Built for Confidence is all about. It's about sharing ideas, perspectives, and being confident in who you are, being confident in your response, being confident in what you receive, and being confident in what you give. That's what confidence is all about, especially in a conversation. So when you're in a conversation and you disagree with somebody, at least have the audacity to say, you know what, I don't really know how to reply to what you're saying right now. All I know is there's a check in my spirit that is telling me that it's different than yours. Can you give me a few minutes to collect my thoughts and give you that answer? That to me is more professional. It's more bold. It's more confident. It's more conversational than just saying, I don't agree with what you're saying. Does that make sense? It's kind of like going to a barbecue and you're grilling meat, you got people hanging around, you got kids playing, you're just having a wonderful, awesome day during the summertime, and everything's going good. And then all of a sudden, there's this one fly that comes in and does not leave anyone alone. Y'all know what I'm talking about because you've been there too. Y'all know what I'm talking about because you've swatted that fly. And this is where it's imperative that we understand that instead of us being able to just slap a person, because we can't, we can swat a fly, but don't go out and start swatting people. How about you just have a conversation? You know, I was talking to a very good friend of mine, Jody Meza, earlier today, just about an hour ago. And I was telling her about this situation. And she's like, wow, the person didn't even respond. I said, they responded with one-liner. And then I responded back and then crickets. And you know, me being the positive thinker, like, well, maybe they got busy. That's cool. Like maybe this, maybe that. However, it got me thinking. So I was talking to Miss Jody and I'm like, you know, I could remember as a kid, we'd have disagreements with our friends. And sometimes we'd box it out and still be friends. I could still remember when I was a kid, my parents would talk politics with friends and family, right? And they might not have been backing up the same party, but they were still friends. You follow me? And so I'm like, what happened to that day and age? And here's what I started thinking about. And that's why today's podcast is a little bit different than I did last week. Last week, I did a deep dive. Next week, I'm going to have somebody come on as a guest. It's going to be amazing. But I started thinking about, like, was that a negative thing that happened? And sometimes it can be a negative thing. And I've had conversations with people, and I want to have this conversation with you today. Like, is it always good to be around positive people that are going to constantly always cheer you on? I would venture to say no. Is it always good to be around bad people? I would say it's not good. Here's the thing. In life, you need both good and bad to happen in order for there to be power. Now you're saying, probably scratching your head like, what you talking about, Coach Paul? Listen, I want you to think about a battery to an automobile. A battery has two polarities, right? They're polarized, negative, positive, plus subtract sign. Both together make the car run. But they have to meet in the middle somewhere to distribute power. Make sense? You look at your house, you have a hot, a neutral, and a ground. Same concept. You come together, you form a connection, now there's power. The same with our conversations. We cannot be afraid to hear a negative thing. We cannot be afraid to hear a positive thing. But if all we're hearing, and this is where our egos get blown up, this is where we think we know it all because people are like, man, you are a beast at that. Guess what? All of a sudden, now all I'm saying is I'm a beast at that. What does that do? That limits and that puts a cap on my jar. It puts a lid on my jar. But when you have people in your life, and they don't have to be necessarily negative, but people that challenge you, it's going to challenge you to go deeper. Now, this person did not reply. Maybe they did get busy. Maybe to them, they're like, I ain't got time to reply to that. That's their choice. But it got me to thinking, how many conversations are left on a table simply because one party doesn't want to confront that issue? They want to be so right in themselves that they don't want to hear someone else's perspective. They don't want to, they're so afraid of being wrong because of what they've learned, of what they paid into, whatever that is. They're so fixed on, no, this is it. Jesus himself said, you strain so hard on the gnat. You strain so hard on the gnat that you're missing the whole entire picture. And that's where it's imperative and it's powerful in our own minds that we're able to have a conversation to say, you know what? I don't agree with that, but I'm going to ponder on that for a little bit. And what if you start dissecting that other person's perspective? And what if you actually came back with your perspective to say, okay, I understand this and this and this of what you said, but here's my perspective on this, this, and that. Can we have a conversation about that? Absolutely. I have no problem having a conversation with somebody. I have no problem opening up my mind to receive what they have for me. Are you going to change my mind? I don't know. But if you can show me the proof, show me some proof in what you're saying is true, then I'm going to look at that in different lenses. You know, going over to Israel has really broadened my perspective to understand that not everything that we've been taught traditionally. Now, for those of you that right now that are already thinking like, oh, he's saying that the Bible is all false. No, I didn't say what was in the Bible, what was taught throughout tradition. Because here's the thing. When you are told not to look for something, guess what? You won't go look for it. But if you hear someone say, go dig in there for yourself and look at the proof, now you've got the proof. You're like, oh, wow. This is so good. So this is where, as I grab my water, because my throat is a little bit dry. As we look at these perspectives, y'all, there's sometimes that you're going to have to unlearn some things. And here's why. So you can create the space with someone else to help them through a situation. So you can create the space, especially those that call themselves kingdom coaches. You're so adamant, you're so on the straight line that what if you just bent just a bit to say, you know what? Let me go hear what this person has to say. Without the intent to respond. What if you just listened in to their heart? What if you listened in to their pulse? What if you listened in to their emotion? What if you actually listened in and not only listened in, but tuned in to Holy Spirit to hear exactly what they are saying? Because the more questions you ask is going to make you that much more proficient. And that's where the keys to the kingdom are. There's so many keys to the kingdom, but that's one of them. Asking the right questions and also creating the space for another person to still remain themselves. Jesus corrected religious folk. That's who he corrected. That's who he corrected. The people, like the woman at the well, he asked her questions. She answered her own mess. When it came to the Pharisees, he said, you brood of vipers, you guys are idiots. What are you doing? You follow what I'm saying? So when there's a conversation and you want to debate, please have some skin in the game. There are conversations that people have that I'll be listening in and they're like, what do you think? I'm like, I'm not part of this conversation. You know why? Because I don't have skin in the game. I don't have proof of what I want to say, and or I know I'm going to lose that argument, so I'm not even going to get into it. Does that make sense? So listen, today's call to action is this. What can you do today to listen just a little bit more? And how do you want to proceed in that as well? So, sorry, I had a bunch of stuff going on around me, so I had to look around to see what was going on. But I hope this has blessed you today. I hope this heartbeat of this podcast is helping you see things out of a different perspective. And if you want to be a part of our Kingdom Link network, head on over to our Facebook group. That link will be down below. Come check us out. We also have our Deeper Waters Bible study tonight, which is a Monday night, 5:00 my time, 6 Central, 7:00 Eastern. And we're diving into the word, y'all. Okay. We got some other things going on, but I don't want to overwhelm you with all kinds of stuff because I don't want to confuse you as well. But I hope this has blessed you today. Head on over to my email list if you have not yet. Sign up for my text blasts, and all that information is down below. All right. So that's what I got for now. I love y'all. God bless you. We'll catch you on conversation number 10. I want to thank you once again for tuning in to the Built for Confidence podcast. If you have found value in any of these episodes, do me a huge favor, drop me a review, and also let me know which episode has touched your life. My passion is to help business owners grow, scale, and expand for the kingdom of God. So let's get out there. Let's build our businesses, share this out, hit that like, all the things, and we'll catch you on our next episode. God bless.